how my best friend turned out to be a pedophile. When I was growing up, I was very, as I said in my alone video, or my confessions video, I basically grew up reasonably alone, but just before the incident with my brother has happened, basically I was quite outgoing. I would talk to people a lot. I was quite a happy child. And there was one night I went to a Pacific party, and I went to a party with two of my friends. And at this party, there was this guy there, which I believe was around 17 to 18 years old. We'll call him James. He was an amazing guy. He was very funny. He was basically just a nice guy in general. He was nice. He would do things that were no one else would do. He was like really cool for his age, if you understand what I mean, coming from my point of view as a 9 or 10-year-old. This old guy wanted to be my friend, so I went with that, and I was like, this is cool, this is really cool. This guy that is older wants to be my friend. And at the time, I saw nothing wrong with it. Looking back on it now, I do see something wrong with it. But obviously at the time, I saw nothing wrong with it and continued to just go along with it. And James was essentially my best friend for quite a lot of my life growing up. He was there for me whenever I needed something. He would give me advice on anything I needed. If I was ever in a situation where I was stuck, he would give me money. He would help me with anything I really needed. I would Skype him almost every day. We would meet up in person and do things as well. Obviously growing up, I saw nothing wrong with this. And I saw nothing wrong with it up until very recently, when I started to connect the dots after a few different incidents that took place. But essentially what happened was, he began to get rather annoyed with me after I met an individual, a girl, that for the purpose of this, we'll call them Sarah from the previous thing, so we're following on here. So, Sarah, I had a crush on Sarah. I really like Sarah, so I would, and apparently a lot of my friends know this as well, I would talk about her a reasonable amount of times. I would mention her, I would bring her up in conversations. I would basically drop any Skype call I was in if she called me, which really pissed off James, because basically no matter who called me, if I was in a Skype call with James, I would never leave it. No matter who was calling me, I would never leave it. But the only time I would leave the Skype call was for Sarah. He realised this after a while, because I would always say, oh, Sarah's calling me, gotta go. And he realised this until eventually I basically told him, hey, I have a crush on Sarah, what should I do? Because at the time I hadn't noticed how pissed off he was actually getting. And he basically said, well, I don't know, go fucking tell her, I don't really care. And I basically went, oh, okay. And just went to one of my other friends and asked them for the advice. And I asked them out to her. But he became really annoyed. And mainly because at the time, this individual, Sarah, had essentially just said, yes, they'll go on a date with me. And I had said this to him, sort of excitement, yeah, she said yeah. And then at that point, I saw his facial expression just utterly changed. Like, he was pissed. It was like a type of facial expression if you just walk into someone's house and punch their grandmother. It's literally, it was just a face of just disgust. And I was sort of like, oh, I sort of looked at him and went, okay. And sort of went, okay. I mean, at that point, I was kind of like, okay, she said yes, so I was saying like, okay, for the date, what should I do? Like, how should this go? Because I've not been on that many dates. So I basically went, hey, what the fuck should I do? This is your characteristics. And he would give me, like, I would take advice from him and go, okay, that's good, okay, that's good advice, that's good advice. And then I would tell anyone else, all my other friends and stuff, and they'd basically go, are you fucking mental? So basically he was giving me the worst possible advice for anything. Ah! I've been drinking Iron Brew and my mouth is all stuck, but he would give me the best advice. In my eyes, anyway. And just whenever it became this girl, he got really annoyed by this girl. Like, he got pissed by this girl. Because the original plan with this Sarah, the original plan with her was just our usual plan. Was because he had helped me develop my business, helped me develop my company, told me that he'd help me build it from the ground and aspire it to what it is today. And basically what we would do is, if I would befriend someone on Twitter and they had a decent channel, we would basically just prey on them to get them to join. Like, you would just kind of, oh yeah, we're your friend, yeah, your channel's awesome, join. We don't do that anymore, in case you're wondering. If I ever say your channel's awesome, it probably is awesome. Mainly because Tommy Day is closing at the beginning of next year, so we don't have a reason. I don't have a reason to do that. That was kind of his tactic as well. So I would just say, hey, his channel, and then he would either call them on Skype or DM them, and it became just this. And then once I became actually friends with her, quotations on that, I became friends with her, and I would talk about her a lot to him. I don't believe he was ever in a group call. He was in one group call for like half a second, because like, oh, Sarah's calling me, so I added her to the call, and she just fucked off out the call immediately. And he just had this strong hatred for her. And then eventually, he was really desperate to talk to me about something, but I wouldn't join the call because I was in a group call with Sarah and just a shit ton of people. It's one of those like clusterfuck Skype calls. I was on a Skype call with Sarah and one of these people, and just a bunch of these people, and I didn't want to leave it because, well, Sarah was in the call, and I rarely really talked to Sarah. And I rarely ever talked to Sarah because, like, I don't know, I don't think she particularly likes me, but I liked her, but she didn't particularly. God, it's gone really yellow. But, basically that night he just snapped. I don't know what happened, but he just snapped at that moment. He went onto his Twitter page and just started tweeting out, saying, yeah, this is his crush. Tweeted at her and said, yep, he's got a crush on you. Yep, he's got a crush on you. And I was like, oh. Okay. You're a fucking child. And then, what had essentially happened was, he tweeted at her quite a few times saying, hey, yeah, there's a crush on you. But basically trying to just annoy me and get to me. And then after that point, essentially, I had logged into Tommy Day's systems, and I could see there was a community guideline strike that was being sent on one of her videos. So I basically rushed to it as quick, like I dropped everything I was doing and got rid of that community guideline strike. Like, I believe I was talking to Gaming Till Dusk at the time, and I basically was like panicking trying to get rid of it because I didn't want her to get a strike. I don't think she even knows I did that, but yeah, I panicked to try and get rid of that strike. And then eventually, after that, he decided, hey, I'm going to strike every single one of her fucking videos on her channel because I'm a dick. So he did that. He basically striked her whole channel. Not a video was missed. And I had work starting at 8 AM the next day. And I just sat there. I didn't get any sleep that night. I just sat there, manually just deleting the claims, just going through it, going, no, 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 because they came through, and your option to cancel. So I was like, nope, cancel, nope, cancel, nope, cancel, nope, cancel, nope, cancel, all night. I was like, and I almost missed one, and that was so strong, because I was just sitting there for so long, and I essentially just sleeping the whole day at work. Well, really, but I was like, I couldn't do much because I was really tired. But then essentially what happened was I basically said, right, you're a complete dick, fuck off. Okay, because at that point I'd got a lot more friends and stuff. The fact he'd been a friend for quite a lot of my life. At this time he was around 26 years old, and he was an amazing friend, but I basically said, right, go get sorted. But then he basically came back saying, hey, I'm depressed, I'm suicidal, which I've suffered with in the past, so I sympathised with him. And then one night he called me up on Skype and basically said, hey, I'm going to kill myself. And I went, okay. And immediately called the police to go to his address. Which they did. But in Britain they send basically a SWAT team to your house if you do that. But it said I was going to kill myself. He said he was going to kill himself, so I called the police and said, hey, this guy said he's going to kill himself. And they sent people out there to go check what was going on. When they got there, he was not planning to kill himself. Well, he may have been planning, but he hadn't actually killed himself. But what in fact they did discover was lots of inappropriate things with children. And he was then arrested for possession of child pornography. He was taken to jail for that. There were court cases and stuff, and he was essentially sentenced to prison and is not scheduled to release until I think it's 2050, 2055, 2055, that was it. Scheduled for release 2055. 2035, sorry. I wish it was 2055. Jesus Christ. And essentially he was just sentenced to a few years in court and a few years in jail rather, and he's scheduled for release in 2035. So I'll be 34 when he gets out of court. He won't want to fucking fuck me then, will he? But yeah, he had a lot of stuff on his computer. He was very into writing sexual things about me, involving my friends, involving my family, and it genuinely disturbed me. It just freaked me the fuck out. He was involved in a lot of forums online, the deep web and stuff like that, just weird sort of forums and shit. And it was at that moment when I was told all this, I was getting told all this by a police officer, and I was like, yeah, he's basically a pedophile, and I was sort of like, a guy that I've known for basically half my life is a pedophile. I was like, okay, how the fuck do I react to this? What do I do? How am I supposed to react to this? Because I had never dealt with anything serious like this in my life before. And my reaction was, I basically just went, I have to speak to Sarah. And I put a lot of trust into Sarah, so I would call her up, I would speak to her about everything, because like, I mean, at one point I even offered, because I'm going away for a bit in a year, and I offered her basically, hey, you want to look after the company while I'm away? Which was how just stupidly I am with trusting people. But what happened there was, when he went into jail, he was given internet time. For the first couple of weeks in jail, he was given internet time. And essentially he would message me and the past friends that were involved. And I had lied about Sarah's age to him. I'd said she was 17. Which is above the age of consent. And he basically said to her at one point, hey, can I have a good character reference? She said no, and I said, I can offer you a lifetime supply of bras. He won a competition for lifetime supply of bras. It's basically just the thing that he offers to anybody. He offered to anybody, which was like an inside joke, but looking back on it. And essentially he was revoked his internet access, because he also, after that, he had pretended to be a police officer at the place he was working at, which is just stupid. And then he's basically not allowed to access the computer ever again, which is, I think, is pretty damn good. But yeah, so one of my best friends turned out to be a pedophile, basically ruined my chances with this individual, and essentially just went on to slander me constantly to friends. And after this incident, I have been very fucked in the head about trusting people at this point. Since I found this out, I'm finding it very difficult to trust anybody. I am making new friends, and I'm sort of like, okay. And yeah, I'm just very weird to trust anyone. But for anyone that's listened to this length, thank you. Peace.